Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Education, SOE. Bachelor of Education, B.Ed. English. First year. Courses on Enhancing Professional Capacities, EPC. BESL 121 Reading and Reflecting on the Texts. Block-1 Understanding, Reading and Reflecting on the Texts. Unit 3 Reading and Reflection. 3.1 Introduction. Many of us just read text without internalizing the value of what we are reading. Such an exercise in reading does not help the learner benefit from the text. Simple. Activities like asking questions, make predictions, and inferences can make the process of reading interesting and meaning-making. This unit dwells into the various activities that a teacher can undertake to help students gain from their reading experience. 3.2 Objectives. After reading the unit, you should be able to times develop questions that help your students make connections with the text. 2 Self-connections, text-to-text connections, text-to-world connections. Times plan activities for your lessons that help students reflect on what they have read. Times develop metacognitive skills in students about the text they read, and times analyze text critically so as to make interdisciplinary and cross-curricular linkages. 3.3 Making connections with text. Reading becomes an extremely engaging and fruitful activity when we are in a position to connect our readings to our daily life experiences or feelings or thought processes or the problems we face in our daily life situations. We realize the need to be well-read and informed when we experience firsthand the benefits of how our reading knowledge helps us solve our day-to-day problems, help us understand the world around us, help us connect what happens in the present to the various other events of the world. This experience does not happen if we have just read the words, but happens only when we make connections with what we have read. There are 3 types of connections that we often make when we read a text: connection between the self and text, connection between the present text and the text that we have read before, and connection with what we have read to the world that we are seeing around ourselves. In this section, we will explore these 3 types of connections. 3.3.1 Text to Self, TS. How many times have we heard ourselves saying, "This incident storybook reminds me of an incident in our life"? Texts to self connections are personal connections that happen when we read something similar to that we have seen or experienced in our own lives. Using text to self connections while reading with students will help students understand the purpose of many reading excerpts that is prescribed as a part of the curriculum. Zygoriscoe and Glass, 2004, give examples of questions that can help teachers develop the text-to-self connection in their students. A. What does this remind me of in my life? B. What is this similar to in my life? C. How is this different from my life? D. Has something like this ever happened to me? E. How does this relate to my life? F. What were my feelings when I read this? 3.3.2 Text to Text, TT. We all have read stories of Akbar and Birbal and Tenali Rama when we were growing up. When our students are able to make a connection between the wit and humor of Birbal and Tenali Rama, they are indulging in text-to-text connection. Typically, a student who has made this connection will be able to tell you that, like, Birbal was a witty courtier from northern India, Tenali Rama was a witty courtier and poet from southern India. Zygoriscoe and Glass, 2004, give examples of questions that can help teachers develop the text-to-text connection in their students. A. What does this remind me of in another book I've read? B. How is this text similar to other things I've read? C. How is this different from other books I've read? D. Have I read something like this before? 3.3.3 Text to World, TW. The easiest connection that a student is able to make while reading any text is the text-to-world connection. The student is able to relate all that is being taught in science and social science lessons to the day-to-day life. Like for example, in social science classes, students read about the formation of government. They are able to relate to the national election of India that happened in 2014. Zygoriscoe and Glass, 2004, give examples of questions that can help teachers develop the text-to-world connection in their students. A. What does this remind me of in the real world? B. How is this text similar to things that happen in the real world? C. How is this text different from things that happen in the real world? D. How did that part relate to the world around me? Test your understanding. Classify the following statements as text-to-self connection, TS, or text-to-text connection, TT, or text-to-world connection, TW. 1. Many stories from Aesop's fables and Panchantra tales are similar. 2. Today's newspaper carries an article about an initiative of the government where students were given bicycles to reach schools. I remember the day I won a government scholarship to do my graduation. 3. Between Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, I did any day prefer Hercule Poirot's novels as the plots are tighter and more interesting. 4. Reading about how plastic is ruining our environment, I realize I must reduce the usage of plastic in my house. 3.4 Reflective practice and reading tasks. As Plato said, the life without examination is no life. Reflective practice helps us to gain a deeper understanding of how we function as human beings. We often unconsciously engage in reflective practice when we think deeply about a situation of our life and ask ourselves questions like, what would I have done if I were in place of, how can I do this work differently? What is the advantage-disadvantage of following this course of action? Many at times, the answers to our questions can be found when we read about the incidents in other people's lives and how they overcame similar problems, or when we read about a process that helps design or build a new product that can assist us in our daily life. In order to understand how the process of reflective practice occurs when we read, let us do the following exercise. Exercise 3.1. This is a real-life story of engineer John Roebling building the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, USA back in 1870. The bridge was completed in 1883, after 13 years. In 1870, a creative engineer named John Roebling was inspired by an idea to build a spectacular bridge connecting New York with the Long Island. However, bridge-building experts throughout the world thought that this was an impossible feat and told Roebling to forget the idea. It just could not be done. It was not practical. It had never been done before. Roebling could not ignore the vision he had in his mind of this bridge. He thought about it all the time and he knew deep in his heart that it could be done. He just had to share the dream with someone else. After much discussion and persuasion, he managed to convince his son Washington, an upcoming engineer, that the bridge in fact could be built. Working together for the first time, the father and son developed concepts of how it could be accomplished and how the obstacles could be overcome. With great excitement and inspiration, and the headiness of a wild challenge before them, they hired their crew and began to build their dream bridge. The project started well, but when it was only a few months underway, a tragic accident on the site took the life of John Roebling. Washington was also injured and left with a certain amount of brain damage, which resulted in him not being able to talk or walk. We told them so. Crazy men and their crazy dreams. It's foolish to chase wild visions. Everyone had a negative comment to make and felt that the project should be scrapped since the Roeblings were the only ones who knew how the bridge could be built. In spite of his handicap, Washington was never discouraged and still had a burning desire to complete the bridge, and his mind was still as sharp as ever. He tried to inspire and pass on his enthusiasm to some of his friends, but they were too daunted by the task. As he lay on his bed in his hospital room, with the sunlight streaming through the windows, a gentle breeze blew the flimsy white curtains apart and he was able to see the sky and the tops of the trees outside for just a moment. It seemed that there was a message for him not to give up. Suddenly an idea hit him. All he could do was move one finger and he decided to make the best use of it. By moving this, he slowly developed a code of communication with his wife. He touched his wife's arm with that finger, indicating to her that he wanted her to call the engineers again. Then he used the same method of tapping her arm to tell the engineers what to do. It seemed foolish, but the project was underway again. For 13 years, Washington tapped out his instructions with his finger on his wife's arm, until the bridge was finally completed. Today, the spectacular Brooklyn Bridge stands in all its glory as a tribute to the triumph of one man's indomitable spirit and his determination not to be defeated by circumstances. It is also a tribute to the engineers and their teamwork, and to their faith in a man who was considered mad by half the world. It stands too as a tangible monument to the love and devotion of his wife, who for 13 long years patiently decoded the messages of her husband and told the engineers what to do. What lessons can we learn from Washington's life that can help us become a better professional? Exercise 3.2. I said, at present you hold only 2 examinations in a year, viz. the terminal examination and the annual examination. You can have monthly examinations instead. If a student has 2 face examinations, it is better he gets acquainted with them. Familiarity lessens apprehension and makes the burden bearable. Secondly, the examination must be regarded not as a test of achievement, but as a means to diagnose the pupil's weak points and to alert the weak students. This is the big difference. Thirdly, those students who are confident that they know the subject well may be exempted from appearing at the examination. Pupils may appear at the examinations voluntarily to find out their weaknesses. Those who do not appear at the examinations will not have the opportunity to find out their weaknesses. Examinations may be held in respect of such subjects only for which valid tests are possible. There should be no examinations in other subjects. Further, we should allow pupils to use textbooks during examinations to answer the questions. The way the pupil uses his textbook will itself be his test. Then again, we should classify results under 3 categories. Only, viz. unfit for promotion to the higher class, may be promoted subject to improvement in weak subjects, and fit for promotion to the higher class. We should abolish the ranking system wherein a pupil is declared to have obtained the first rank or the second rank and so on. Excerpt from Divaswapna, Gijju. Bhai. Do you agree with the narrator's opinion that teacher is the best judge of the student? Justify your answer with examples from your own experience as a teacher. 3.5 Metacognitive skills for reading. Another form of reflection is metacognition. Broadly defined, metacognition is thinking about thinking. Any reader who is able to gain from her reading usually engages in metacognitive activities. These activities don't develop naturally but have to be instilled during the learning process of a student, especially when a student is engaging in an activity like reading. Many teachers often feel that students use metacognitive strategies while reading. Once a girl was asked, what was she thinking while she was reading, like most children of her class, she replied, I am not thinking, I am reading. In the context of reading, metacognitive skill usually denotes 2 aspects: cognition about reading and text comprehension. The use of metacognitive skills is what distinguishes a skilled reader from that of a beginning reader. Paris and Jacobs, 1984, provide the difference between the two. Skilled readers often engage in deliberate activities that require thinking, flexible strategies, and periodic self-monitoring. They think about the topic, look forward and backward in the passage, and check their own understanding as they read. Beginning readers or poor readers do not recruit and use these skills. Indeed, novice readers often seem oblivious to these strategies and the need to use them. P.2083. As a teacher, it is our responsibility to develop the metacognitive skills of students so that they become skilled readers and are able to become independent thinkers. We can develop our students' metacognitive skills by following a 3-step process. Times develop a plan before reading, helping students think about the topic, about what connections they can make about the topic is the first step towards developing metacognitive awareness about the text. Times monitor the understanding of the text, helping students make connections, inferences, predictions, and using graphic organizers to break content into smaller chunks are some strategies that can help teachers monitor the students' understanding of the text. Times evaluating thinking after reading, helping students connect to what they thought and what finally happened after the reading, helping students understand the perspective of the author to help develop their own thinking skill. 3.5. 1 Mercy Scale. Mercy, Metacognitive Awareness of Reading Strategies Inventory, scale is designed to assist students' awareness and perceived use of reading strategies while reading academic or school-related materials. Mokhtari and Richard, 2002. This self-reporting scale is a supplement to help students develop an awareness regarding their own metacognitive processes while reading. It also helps them become aware of the various metacognitive strategies that they can develop to become better readers. As teachers, we must use this scale just to gather information and plan our teaching process rather than a standalone assessment option. This scale uses 3 metacognitive strategies. A. Global reading strategies. They are generalized, intentional reading strategies that help set the purpose of reading and meaning-making in the reader. B. Problem-solving strategies. These strategies help students navigate through text skillfully so that the reader is able to overcome problems when the reading of the text becomes difficult. C. Support reading strategies are strategies that help the reader use reference materials or notes or other media to help gain a better understanding of the text. Metacognitive Awareness of Reading Strategies Inventory, Mercy. Version 1.0. Koidar Mokhtari and Kala Richard, copyright symbol 2002. Directions listed below are statements about what people do when they read academic or school-related materials such as textbooks, library books, etc. 5 numbers follow each statement: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each number means the following. 1 means I never or almost never do this. Reading and reflection. 2 means I do this only occasionally. 3 means I sometimes do this about 50% of the time. 4 means I usually do this. 5 means I always or almost always do this. After reading each statement, circle the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 that applies to you using the scale provided. Please note that there are no right or wrong answers to the statements in this inventory. Type strategy scale. Look at the screen. 1. Write your response to each statement, i.e., 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, in each of the blanks. 2. Add up the scores under each column. Place the result on the line under each column. 3. Divide the score by the number of statements in each column to get the average for each subscale. 4. Calculate the average for the inventory by adding up the subscale scores and dividing by 30. 5. Compare your results to those shown below. 6. Discuss your results with your teacher or tutor. 3.6 Critical appreciation of text. Apart from reading for pleasure and deriving lessons that one can learn in our daily life, text has another purpose. It helps the reader develop better writing and analytical skills. As a teacher, it must be our endeavor to ensure we help students develop these analytical skills. Critical appreciation of the text helps us to analyze the text in terms of its thesis statement, the perspective of the author, research into the unknown aspects, and, more importantly, develop cross-curricular and interdisciplinary linkages that help in making meaning of our learning and school experience. Exercise 3.3. The Girl Who Silenced the World for 5 Minutes is a speech by Seven Suzuki. In 1992, at age 12, Suzuki raised money with members of ECO to attend the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. Along with group members Michelle Quigg, Vanessa Sati, and Morgan Giesler, Kalis Suzuki presented environmental issues from a youth perspective at the summit, where she was applauded for a speech to the delegates. This is her script. Hello, I am Seven Suzuki speaking for ECO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We are a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference. Vanessa Sati, Morgan Giesler, Michelle Quigg, and me. We've raised all the money to come here ourselves, to come 5,000 miles to tell you adults you must change your ways. Coming up here today, I have no hidden agenda. I am fighting for my future. Losing my future is not like losing an election or a few points on the stock market. I am here to speak for all generations to come. I am here to speak on behalf of the starving children around the world whose cries go unheard. I am here to speak for the countless animals dying across this planet because they have nowhere left to go. I am afraid to go out in the sun now because of the holes in our ozone. I am afraid to breathe the air because I don't know what chemicals are in it. I used to go fishing in Vancouver, my home, with my dad. Until, just a few years ago, we found a fish full of cancers. And now we hear of animals and plants going extinct every day, vanishing forever. In my life, I have dreamt of seeing the great herds of wild animals, jungles and rainforests, full of birds and butterflies, but now I wonder if they will even exist for my children to see. Did you have to worry of these things when you were my age? All this is happening before our eyes, and yet we act as if we have all the time we want and all the solutions. I'm only a child and I don't have all the solutions, but I want you to realize, neither do you. You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back the forest that once grew where there is now a desert. If you don't know how to fix it, please stop breaking it. Here you may be delegates of your governments, business people, organizers, reporters or politicians. But, really, you are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, and all of you are someone's child. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all part of a family, 5 billion strong and in fact 30 million species strong. And borders and governments will never change that. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal. In my anger, I am not blind, and in my fear I am not afraid of telling the world how I feel. In my country we make so much waste, we buy and throw away. Buy and throw away, buy and throw away, and yet northern countries will not share with the needy. Even when we have more than enough, we are afraid to share, we are afraid to let go of some of our wealth. In Canada, we live the privileged life. We've plenty of food, water and shelter. We have watches, bicycles, computers, and television sets. The list could go on for 2 days. 2 days ago here in Brazil, we were shocked when we spent time with some children living on the streets. This is what one child told us: "I wish I was rich. And if I were, I would give all the street children food, clothes, medicines, shelter and love and affection." If a child on the street who has nothing is willing to share, why are we who have everything still so greedy? I can't stop thinking that these are children my own age, that it makes a tremendous difference where you are born. And that I could be one of those children living in the favelas of Rio. I could be a child starving in Somalia, or a victim of war in the Middle East, or a beggar in India. I am only a child, yet I know if all the money spent on war was spent on ending poverty and finding environmental answers, what a wonderful place this earth would be. At school, even in kindergarten, you teach us how to behave in the world. You teach us to not to fight with others, to work things out, to respect others, and to clean up our mess, not to hurt other creatures, to share, not be greedy. Then, why do you go out and do the things you tell us not to do? Do not forget why you are attending these conferences, who you are doing this for. We are your own children. You are deciding what kind of a world we are growing up in. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying everything is going to be all right, it's not the end of the world, and we are doing the best we can. But I don't think you can say that to us anymore. Are we even on your list of priorities? My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us. But I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words. Thank you. Questions for critical appreciation of text. 1. What are the important aspects of our life that Suzuki is shedding light on? 2. Science connection, you would have read about genetically modified food. Do you think such scientific inventions can help eradicate food poverty? 3. Social science connection, the National Food Security Act, 2013 is an initiative towards helping in eradicating hunger in our country. Using Suzuki's speech, discuss how such acts would be futile unless there is a change in the mindset of our fellow countrymen. 4. Life skill connection, what are the values Suzuki wanting to promote? How can you promote these values in your students? 3.7 Summary. Let us go over some of the concepts we have studied. 1. Helping students make text to self, TS, text to text, TT, text to world. TW, connections assists them to become better readers. 2. Reflecting on reading helps gain a deeper understanding of the text, and the reader is able to use this understanding to develop a broader perspective about concepts and life at large. 3. Metacognitive skills in reading help the reader become aware of the reading process and meaning-making process. 4. Teachers can develop both reflective and metacognitive skills in students while they are reading by framing questions, helping the students make predictions, draw inferences, and use graphic organizers. 5. Reflective and metacognitive skills used in reading also help in critically appreciating the text so that the reader is able to make cross-curricular and inter-disciplinary links with what is being taught and what is being learnt. Thank you for listening.